Welcome, everyone. We are not feeling very well today, so we decided to take a trip to the memorial, the second book on the Giallo trilogy that takes place in Ernest Spencer Memorial Hospital, probably the worst hospital in the world. Dr. Ribeiro, would you please fill us in?
Yes, well, the Ernest Spencer Memorial is the setting for this second scenario, which is the memorial. The Ernest Spencer is a hospital in New York or any other big city, which was built in the 20s, I think, and it has become very degraded in the meantime. And it has a history of
Steady history.
it has a very complicated history, and and it is populated by a staff that is kind of bizarre.
And I can say that I worked 8 years in healthcare, so some of the characters are slightly inspired by people that I met in real life.
Which it
Like,
makes it even scarier because some of these people do exist
yes,
and work in hospitals, but not the memorial. So what time? Well, besides that, it's partly inspired in Giallos, um, and the part inspired by the cult TV show Riget by Lars von Trier, which was remade or rebooted or whatever in the US with the name Kingdom Hospital, produced by Stephen King.
but don't confuse it. This
No.
is the weird European one, and that's where part of the horror comes from.
Other movies which were kind of inspirational, for example, The Killer Nun, which is a video nasty with a couple of European stars, Anita Ekberg and Alida Valli.
One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, of
Yes,
course.
there's well, the whole psychiatric ward is inspired by One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, and a few more things, probably something from ER, something from House, something from other
A
TV.
little bit of MASH, at least the soundtrack.
Yeah, the soundtrack. Okay, so what will you find in this scenario? Well, as I was saying, a description of this hospital, and then a description of the doctors, and then I'm going to share the screen so you can. Well, first of all, the cover, which is well, it doesn't reveal too much, but there's a guy with a hat, so it's Giallo.
It's very Giallo, exactly, and he has a syringe.
So let's start by the VIP lounge. The VIP lounge is where you find the most relevant people working or not working in the hospital. Abraham Hershey is the
Director?
CEO, the hospital CEO. This basically, well, he's not a doctor, of course. He's just the guy who manages the hospital. Well, it doesn't manage it very well because he spends most of the hospital's money in things that he shouldn't, and there's some mentions about that in the story.
There's a whole plot hook about antique desk that he bought, and it's actually very fun in game. At least it was for us.
Then there's Martin Jacoby. Jacoby is a lawyer, a member of the board of directors, and Hershey's right-hand man. Then we have Matthew Laurie. Matthew Laurie is the clinical director of the hospital, well known as a bon vivant and a playboy. He usually charms all the nurses, some of the patients, and some of the doctors. He has a relationship with one of the most important doctors.
Can we say he's also completely incompetent?
Yeah, among other things. All these people have dark secrets, as you can see there. All of them are. You don't have to use all the dark secrets, but a lot of them would be interesting to use in stories. Well, even if they are characters that they can be used. Well, Ralph Moreau is a strange person, and he spends most of the time in a laboratory, and a lot of people wonder what the hell is he doing in there. Then there's Klaus Bergman. About this guy, he's also a doctor, and I think he's a cardiologist.
Yes.
Uh,
Everybody suspects he's a Nazi, right?
yeah, well, yeah, he was a Nazi scientist. Hint, he wasn't. Then there's Jeffrey Miller. Jeffrey Miller is a renowned doctor and a respected professor at Columbia University, a neurologist, and also, well, this one is a very antisocial, and people don't like him. And in this case, I'm going to leave another hint. They are right not to like him.
This character is very good as a villain. He has a very good plot hook and dark secret.
Then we have Christine McBride. Christine McBride is a psychiatrist, right?
Yes, she is a psychiatrist, and she does need a psychiatrist.
So, yeah, she's the one who has a kind of a affair with the clinical director, and she has strange tastes in in the bedroom.
She's a very peculiar kink.
Yeah, I'm not going to say which one is, but it's the most smelly one. Then there's
Number two.
Laura
It's number
Hansen.
two.
Laura Hansen. Laura Hansen is also a psychiatrist, I think, and a very nasty person.
A workaholic also.
Yeah, and she's very connected to the plot hooks that take place in the.
She's Christine McBride's, how do you say it?
Assistant or something like.
No, she's her nemesis.
Oh yeah.
Her rival, exactly.
Well then, Dick Reynolds is a pediatrician, fat slob. People suspect he's a pedophile.
He isn't.
He isn't. We are revealing too much, I think. Then we have Robert Haywood, an anesthesiologist who has some interesting dark secrets too. I'm not going to reveal this one.
Yes.
Then we have Charles Grant. Charles Grant, well, this one isn't a particular interesting story, but he is involved also in in some of the plot.
He's the gay trope to make the game more,
Yeah.
right? He's the gay doctor, the good-looking gay doctor.
Well, here we start with the plot hooks. I'm not going to mention these ones, but well, the antique desk is here. And then PR Nightmares and the Hugh Hefner Appreciation Society, which is a very interesting informal club that exists in this hospital. And it's very misogynistic. And only allows men, of course, and they have well, they engage in a series of pranks and silly things. It can be interesting to put in a lighter mood. Then there's a supporting cast which provides some other very annoying and dangerous dark secrets. For example, Mr. Nunez is
Yes.
one of those real persons. He is a, what's it called, autopsy assistant, a very weird fellow.
He's a real person, though I don't think in real life he shares the same dark secret, but who knows?
Yeah. The supporting cast has connected plot hooks too, and then finally we get to the patients. One of those is based on Jack Nicholson in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, partly based. And there's also a woman who has dream problems. She has nightmares, I mean, and she's being studied. And well, there's always the dreamlands, and everything that happens in the dreams is also a nice thing to explore in a horror scenario. Some other weird plots, and
Can
it
we mention someone's left foot? Because that's a funny one. Just
yeah, okay.
without saying too much, that's one of my favorites. So it's basically a plot hook where someone finds the janitor finds a foot on his refrigerator, and then you have to find out who the hell that foot belongs to, and nobody knows. It's that kind of hospital.
Yeah. And then, unlike the first Giallo, which has only small plots, and the introductory adventure was published after as a blog post, this one includes already a more developed plot hook, which is almost we could call it a one shot, which voices
Or
from
or a small campaign.
yeah, a small. When we played it, it was 3 game sessions, I think.
Yes, 3 or 4, though
Three.
they were not very long.
Yeah, it depends on how much time you are going to spend on each game session. So it's called Voices from the Past, and it includes a couple of characters which, if you have already played Orpheum Lofts, you might recognize them. One of those is Dorothy McLean, which in the Orpheum Lofts is a secondary character, an actress from the golden age of Hollywood. Now she's old. By the way,
Older.
yeah, she's very old now. This scenario is supposed to, though not obviously not
Mandatory.
mandatory. You can you are supposed to set it in the 90s, mid 90s, the end of the 90s, so about 10 years after the Orpheum Lofts. So right now, Dorothy McLean is much older, and she's probably suffering from dementia. And meanwhile, she has developed a closer relationship with Ron Taylor. Ron Taylor was a good-looking guy. Uh, in Orpheum Lofts, he was still a young guy. He was a clerk, a retail clerk.
But he was a sportsman at heart. He did a
Yeah,
lot. He was a jockey,
yeah, yeah. He had been
a jock.
a jock in a yeah, not a
Yeah,
jockey.
not a
he,
jockey.
he had been almost a football star, but he had some problems, and then ended up working in a sports store. But then, since Dorothy McLean was always hitting on him, finally Ron Taylor decided that he should just go live with the old lady and be a gigolo or something like that. So this is the beginning of this story. So if you have seen Riget, you probably remember an old lady was the mother of one of
I don't
the
remember her name now.
yeah, I can't remember her either. Anyway, Dorothy McLean has the same kind of role here. She sees dead people, hears dead people, smells dead people, and other things, and she will. Well, as soon as she sets foot inside the hospital, she starts having weird experiences, and she's being accompanied by Dr. Stan Heller, who is a neurologist.
A competent doctor for a change. Here we have
Yeah,
a competent doctor and a competent nurse.
which is Nurse Iris Delgado. Iris Delgado. Iris Delgado is also a very kind person, which is a very unusual thing to in this hospital. And there's also Lisa Moreau, who is the daughter of Dr. Ralph Moreau, and she's doing a documentary, kind of, well, not really a documentary, a film to show as a marketing tool. Yeah,
She is the hospital public
yeah.
relationships person, but she's not being very successful because it's very hard to sell the memorial. And she's
Mhm.
trying to do a documentary, but everything that the patients have to say is that the hospital is awful.
So as I was saying before, Dorothy McLean starts seeing strange things, and then she's supposed to uh, well, she tries to explain to other people. Obviously, people will not believe it because she does suffer some from dementia,
Yes.
and it's a way to introduce characters and introduce the whole hospital here. Okay.
So maybe we can talk a little bit about our experience playing the Memorial. We just play this time because I know you played this in the past, right?
Yeah.
This time we only played this first adventure. I got to play Dorothy McLean, and I had a lot of fun doing that because she's a totally how can I say it,
She's
out
well,
there. She's
well, besides being a bit nutty because she's old, she was already a bit nutty before because
yes,
she was a star,
and she's a diva, and in her
yeah.
head she's still a diva, and people care about her. So it was really fun. It was one of the characters that I had more fun playing, and I was an old insane lady, so I could do any insane thing I felt like. It was like, oh, but my character is insane.
So that's it. Anything more about this one? I'm not sure.
I don't think so. It's one of my favorites, but because yeah, there's some of my real life, my lived experience in there. But
So okay, as a final words about this, it wasn't meant to be a giallo initially, but since we decided that we were going to publish 3 giallos, and I think, well, this has some potential because there are some
tropes there and
yeah,
space to put some more. That's basically what you did. You
yeah,
added a little more.
I added
So
some tropes that are peculiarly giallish, and they work in a hospital. I'm not sure how many giallos are there that take place in hospitals, but there is one thing that works because a lot of um, a lot of tropes that have to do with giallo, for example, uh, confusion, obsessions, neurosis, psychosis, all that makes sense in a hospital. Of course, a lot of the things that can happen in this hospital have nothing to do with that because it's also an hospital. But if you want to take it into the giallo realm, the psychiatric ward is a perfect place for that.
and even to take it as the horror surreal game, of course, the
Yeah.
psychiatric ward will be perfect for that. Because if the characters are seeing strange things, it's because they're crazy. Nobody's going to believe them.
And well, we're talking about that, so I'll just mention again because it happens in the Orpheum Lofts and this one too. You can play it as a giallo, and that means horror in a thriller way without any supernatural. But if you want to add some supernatural, you should use some of those plot hooks that allow it. For example, this one's called Voices from the Past. This can be used as a supernatural or non-supernatural. If the diva old actress is really demented and seeing things and nothing that she sees and hears is real, well, it's non-supernatural, of course. But there are options to make everything a straight horror game.
And there are weird things happening in the hospital, and she may be crazy, but actually saying things that make people go and look and find out that strange illegal things are happening because
Yeah,
they are
there are
happening.
a lot of things. Yeah, for example, I will mention it, but okay, cannibalism, necrophilia, for example,
Illegal experiments.
illegal experiments. Well, people are trafficking things from the hospital, so there's a lot of weird things happening and criminal things happening that do not enter the realm of the occult. But in some of those are even we aren't sure if it's one side or the other, so you can play it as you want. So okay, I think you've said the most important things about Memorial. You can check it on drive-thru or on lulu.com or in the Postmortem Studio store. And
And
it's all
see you
for today.
next.
See you next time. The next promotion will be The Sisters of the Seven Sins, the third Giallo.
Hot nuns.
Okay, bye bye. Have
Bye
a nice
bye.
weekend.